Howdy folks, Aaron Weber here again with the What Now presentation. This, as I spoke to beforehand, is the second part of the meeting. The entire meeting I try and keep to an hour and a half. That first section I try and keep to 45 minutes max. If I've got some great testimonials, I'll extend it to 50, 55 minutes. I'll shrink my break to a 5-minute break or expand it to a 15 if there's lots of questions or, I've got some time to do that. That one-on-one interaction is very helpful, particularly in the middle because people are still there, right? As opposed to, got to get away. This is the second part of that meeting, the What Now section. I try and keep this about 25 to 30 minutes. So again, the whole meeting, including the break, is about an hour and a half. That's the goal. I find that's people's attention span. It respects the time they took to get there and to be there. At the same time, doesn't go all darn night and, therefore sort of turn them off because we weren't respectful of their time. I focus on what now. I emphasize that word. I speak to the fact that we are good to go right now. The opportunity is moving. The train is leaving the station. I don't try and get too cliche in that regard, but I do want to create some level of urgency that now is a great time. Now is the exact right time to get going. I reaffirm, come back, recycle some of the words that we spoke to in that Why Unicity presentation. I say it's simple, easy, it's duplicatable. Let me introduce to you as what to do now, our first goal, and I use that word purposefully as opposed to your first goal. I use the language of the collective, of our, of us. That speaks to the fact and reassures them that they're going to be part of a team, that they'll get support without us having to say, we will support you. No one believes that. But when you use the language of a team, that message gets transmitted and frankly gets received more readily. Our first goal, folks, is to help you get to manager in your first month. Well, what is that? There's some definitions here, but it's 1,000 points of team volume, including 125 points of personal volume. I may draw some concentric circles, define personal volume as a circle in the middle, and then I draw a team volume circle outside of that to show that TV includes your PV and what that is, just to give them a conceptual understanding, maybe only 15, 20 seconds. And say, well, here's the benefits of it. The benefits of it are this. It gives you a working inventory. It enables you to more readily supply those who want the product. It gives you the opportunity to try and experience and become a product of the product. Again, reaffirming we're a substantive organization that believe in our own product. It gives you access to significant future economic benefits that are only available when you become a manager. So if they're only available when you become a manager, you want to get that done as soon as possible. That's why our first goal is to help you get to manager in your first month. And more importantly, it sets a pattern of duplication because I'll tell you what, folks, notice the wording, when people join you, they will join you as you joined. They will ask you two questions. They'll say, well, what should I do my first month? Very quickly followed by, well, what did you do? And you want to be able to say, with your hand on your heart, with full moral authority, that here's how I started. I came in as a manager. You should too. Let me help and show you how. And then I close with, well, if that's a worthy goal, and I believe it is, all those who have success in this business have started this way, so you're laying out that pattern. I say, well, if it's going to be our goal, and it's worthwhile to do so, let's just get it done in our first month. And then I say, well, there are two options for how you get there. We're always happy to provide options. The options are you can buy it or you can build it. I love the alliteration there. If you're going to buy the manager rank, that's wonderful. You can do it two ways. I call it the chicken or beef way, wedding menu style. You can buy the manager pack, which is in your market maybe set packs, or you may have defined one, and I can certainly help you with that if you don't have set manager packs in your market. Choose one of those packs as your default presentation option. I would suggest it be a combo of, Slim, Matcha, Lean Complete, Clear Start, those sorts of things. Those are the only products I talk about in terms of the presentation and question and answer period. Or number two, it's a Get Some Now transformation if that's in your market. And I say, folks, number one is all product. Number two is product and service. Either way gets you there. We're happy to support you. You want chicken, we can support you. You want beef, we can support you there as well. There are two options for you if you're buying your manager position. If you buy, here are the benefits. And I restate them again. I told them the benefits beforehand, and now I come back and restate them after I've shown them how they get there. You have the product for sale now, for use and for resale. Again, speaking to that substantive nature of our product and our model in terms of customers, and holy smoke, we actually have customers. That's a surprise in this industry. It makes that process more efficient. I give the example of so much better to say to someone, look, when they say, hey, that sounds great, where can I get some? You don't want to say, well, I can get you some by next Thursday. You want to be able to say, as you hand it over to them, boom, here it is right now. You have a working inventory. You are properly capitalized. Start using real business terms here. It creates that image in people's mind that we are, because we are, a real business. It gives you access, or checks the box, or ticks the box, hence the logo there, or the graphic there, to more immediate and enhanced benefits only come from being a manager. And frankly, if you're buying it, you're done. You've checked that box, you've ticked the box, you're moving on. And again, it sets that pattern of duplication. Or if you want to build it, remember you can buy it or you can build it. Here is the way I recommend you do. This is a proven way to do it. That is, you do 250 PV, and you find, and here's the language I use, you find and help 3 others do likewise. Because, folks, you have the credibility now. You're only asking folks to do what you've done yourself. You're only asking or requiring of people to do what you have done or currently are striving to do. And you become a manager. I give them this very simple graphic. Doesn't require a napkin in terms of a napkin presentation. They get it. I can buy it or I can build it. I can do my 1,000-point order, or I can do 250 and find 3 other people. Got it. I know what I've got to go and do now. And then I give them the benefits of that. You've got some product now, mostly for use. You have some working inventory. The reality is you're only able to make 1 or 2 sales before you're out of inventory. Excuse me, I draw the distinction there between manager pack versus a 250 pack. You have less working inventory, but you have the beginnings of a team. That's a significant benefit. You have that same access to more immediate enhanced benefits, and you have that same pattern of duplication, albeit at a lower level, but you do have that pattern established, and the pattern is the important thing. And then I say, and here are the ways, given both of those paths, that you can make some money. There are more ways than this, and we can certainly get into them at the right time and place, and happy to answer questions after the meeting on the latter stages of income, which are, folks, certainly impressive. But the ways that are relevant for you now, the way that 99 or 100% of your income for the next 90 days is going to be made up, is in these 4 ways. So I allude to the fact that we've got a powerful plan. It covers all the bases. There's a great back end. But I focus them back in on the things they need to understand and know and do that generate their income right now. No point focus on visions of sugar plums in 12 months' time when your income isn't generated from those methodologies. Focus them back in on what generates the income now. Focus them in on the concepts and the activities that they can do and the mechanisms they get paid from in doing that produce this month's check. And then I go through that. I say, well, number 1, you get a margin. Think of normal business. You buy low, you sell high. You buy at wholesale, you sell at retail. Again, this is the Australian version of the presentation. There's some Australian $50 currency there. I simplify it right down. I say, bottom line is, folks, on a retail business, customer-based focus, you make, give or take, $50 per box of Slim. So the simple math of that is, if you want to make $500 this month from income area number 1, all you need is 10 customers, you've made $500. I would usually say here, if you're buying your manager pack, you're going to get your money back plus this level of profit as you work through that number of customers. Again, making it a real business model type presentation. And then I draw the distinction. Well, what would you have to do as a plan B, part-time, another job to make that sort of money? And they start pondering that and realize that, holy smoke, getting a few customers is not that much work, and it's actually a recurring business and all those sorts of wonderful things. Planting those seeds of the value of the model that we have using language that is very familiar to them. Number 2, I go into rebates. I try and avoid great graphs and charts on this. I say, look, simply put, it's this. After you've made manager, month 2 and beyond, I speak assumptively there, so that I'm planting that seed in their head. I say you're going to get 5% of the volume you generate. You do 1,000 points of personal volume, you're going to get $50. Keep it real simple, keep it real mathematic, and then I say that is added to your margin. So I call it a margin enhancer. That way, again, it's business language, and that's why you'll see each of 2, 3, and 4 in terms of incomes are all plus. And then I say, look, and if you're serious about building a great business, if you're a medical professional, if you move a great amount of product, that 5% jumps to 30% if and when you do 5,000 points of volume. I again allude to the fact of significantly greater reward down the track. Plus, as well as, fast start. Simply put, everybody you bring in at the same level you started, which is manager, and I plant that seed again, you're going to make $300. You should make $300 because you have an obligation to them. One, you did a good thing, you brought them into the business, and two, you're going to help them get started properly and well. You're going to have your arm around them fairly consistently for that very first month. You should be paid more than the usual for that, and we do. Great work deserves great reward. And then I say, in second level enrollments, those people that your people bring in, you'll get $50 for each of them, assuming they come in as you did, as your folks did, which is as manager. There's that duplication going, folks. That pattern you establish by starting the right way yourself. It can be paid weekly, and that income on Fast Start alone goes up as you move along the ranks. I don't bog them down with 3% on infinity share compression and blah, blah, blah. It's all Greek to them at that point in time. But I do allude to the fact that we have more and better, faster, stronger methods, and that, is a very lucrative area, not just activity-based. And then I give them an example. Look, say, for example, you came in as a manager and you enrolled 5 managers this month. That's $1,500. Whatever market you're in, that's plus or minus your initial investment back. And I make the point very clearly there that show me a business where you will get not only your initial investment back, but will make a profit on that initial investment all inside your very first month. And then I pause for a bit. And then I say, folks, it doesn't exist other than here. And I give an example of a McDonald's franchise or whatever other business you want to have. In terms of our posture, we've got to have the posture that this is the best deal on the planet, where you get your initial capital back and make a cash-on-cash return all inside your very first month. If you do a fairly basic level of activity, that is an almost unbelievable, but it's not unbelievable because it is accurate level of return. I make a very strong point of that just to drive that point home. And then I get into Director Lifestyle Bonus and I say, folks, this is just a taste of what you're working towards. We have 165,000 and 1.5 million down the track on a very similar basis at higher levels, but that comes down the track. And by the way, Bruce over there is well progressed in that regard. I want to give them an exhibit that we're talking about these big numbers, and they're not just us waving our hands in the air. And then I bring him back to this chart, even though just previously I said I try not to use graphs and charts. I say, look, there's $21,300 available here. Simply put, when you make director, and director is $5,000 of volume, you're going to get a lump sum of $2,000, and as you sustain that, you'll get $200 every month for 12 months thereafter, for a total bonus over 13 months of $4,400. That's as well as Fast Start, as well as rebates, as well as the other income mechanisms that we can talk about later on in the Getting Started session, where I do drill down a little bit more on some of those future events to inspire them and have them keenly anticipating them. And then I make the point again, it's a do X, get Y basis. You will know what you've got to do to be director. It's 5,000 of organizational volume, structured in an appropriate way. We'll help you do that. We'll show you what that means and put our arm around you to get you there. This is the reward you get, as well as, I emphasize that point, all the other things you're going on. This Director Lifestyle Bonus, folks, is just a taste of the other residual leveraged income that you'll get, of the other significant bonuses with much more zeros after them that you'll be eligible for as we together move along in the business. And I say that's just the start. That's just the front end. I've alluded to this before. You'll move beyond that. There's more and other bonuses with much more zeros after them. You'll get leveraged residual income up to 20% on the incremental dollar. It's patented, or technically it's patent pending. It's powerful. This is a real business with real power. It's industry leading now, and certainly later it is likewise as you move through the compensation plan. And then I give them some examples. If you buy the manager, folks, great. You can tick that box. You can check that box. You're done. That requirement is met, and you can move on to other things, which would be finding and helping other people do the exact same thing. You've got great products. You've set the pattern. You are good to go. And then my second example, I say, if you're going to build it, here's the mathematics of it. If you're going to build a manager at that 250 model, and I say, folks, this is the one that works. This is proven. You want to get there, do it this way. I say, well, Fast Start, there's those three people, A, B, and C, times their 250, times 30% we spoke about, $225. You're pretty close, particularly if you retail some of those products, to being break even and making a positive cash-on-cash profit in your very first month. You have the beginnings of a team. This isn't the whole team. It's going to be much bigger than this as you go forward, but you've got the beginnings of a team. You're also done. You've checked the box. You're a manager, and again, you've set that pattern. And then I say, but imagine, folks, if you did both. Imagine if you bought the manager pack and you had and understood the concept and power of building. Let me just show you what that would mean. Clearly, I'm teasing them here. I'm showing them the simplicity of buying the manager pack, helping them understand that. I'm also showing them the power of the beginnings of duplication and leverage. I'm using, buy it or build it as my foils, if you will, as my Exhibit A and Exhibit B. And then I'm saying, let's just posit, let's just propose, if you will, that you maybe did both. I'm not presenting it as you should do this. I'm just planting that seed. The reality is they understand buy it or build it. It doesn't take a rocket scientist, and I'm guiding them along that path with this presentation to say, what if I did both? And I'm showing them exactly what they would get here. I would say, let's say for a moment that you bought your manager pack and you engaged in the process of building. Here's what you would get using this example. A, B, C, and D, 4 people times 1,000 points each times that 30%. You're familiar with that, $1,200, if my math's correct. On fast start, A starts doing what you're doing. I always demonstrate some level of duplication because I want to demonstrate what it is we're waving our hands in the air about, what it is we're talking about. And I say, look, A is already starting to do what you're doing in the course of this first month, and A has sponsored E, which means A would get paid the 30% on E, you'd be paid the 5% on E, which is 1,000 times one person, E, times 5% is $50. Your income now is $1,250. I circle back around and say, again, you're pretty darn close, particularly if you retail some products and get that money back and a margin to making a profit. I reaffirm that point of this whole model is to get you to a zero cost basis, another great term to use, and making money as rapidly as possible. All too often I hear the story of, this is the first time I've ever made money in one of these schemes, in quotation marks. Or it's so great to see a clear path of what I've got to do and what I'm going to get. They're speaking do X, get Y language. And once they're there at that point, that I know I've got a very productive place to be. And then reaffirming what we've just taught them, I say, plus you've already banked, we don't use that term so much nowadays, but I still use it, the $2,000 Director Lifestyle Bonus, plus you've set yourself up for the $200 per month recurring there as we sustain that month thereafter. And then I say, how easy is it going to be to sustain that month thereafter? Because you've got you, plus A, plus B, plus C, plus D, plus E, all now trying to do that exact same thing going forward. You will sustain and more than likely grow your business. They start seeing the power of that duplication. They start seeing that, well, next month I'm going to make at least $2,000 plus my fast start, plus some rebate, plus some, get paid that direct lifestyle bonus. They can start to see the pathway that they're on and the fact that they could likely do it and the fact that we can help them get there with this working example. And I position this, I'm just planting a seed. You understand the power of buy it or build it. You understand the methodology of build it. What if you did both? So what do you got to do now? Well, you got to set your goals, make your list, and invite people, as we spoke to before. More importantly, and now you understand the value of, number 1, making and sustaining that manager rank. Number 2, finding and helping others do likewise. And number 3, helping your number 2s do their number 2s. Sounds a rather ironic statement. But once you've helped people become and sustain manager, then you help them find and help others do likewise. And I show them usually how that will help build a sustainable, predictable business as we go forward. Well, so what now? Back to that fundamental question I posited at the beginning. Let's go. And then I conclude the meeting and I say, we're done. That's all we've got to worry about for now. I want you to focus on our first goal, which is getting you to manager in that very first month. And you can see the benefits that flow to you from that activity and from engaging in the right to-do list items going forward. And then I conclude the meetings. I make sure to not sort of say at the end, well, any questions? I've learned from sad experience mostly that most people, or some people I should say, don't have the good judgment to demonstrate to others the asking of silly questions. You have no control over people's foolish questions, which more often than not suck the energy out of the room and or distract people onto issues that are just completely irrelevant and or painful. So I say, look, the meeting's done. We'll hang around for as long as you need us to this evening to answer questions. I and my leaders, and I point them out, whoever they may be, we're here for you. If you have any questions, please come and see us, and we'll answer them as we're able. And we're happy to help you. And I use this language to conclude it with. My job, our job, is to work with and for you and your great success, both in experiencing the product and in building a business. Our job at Unicity is to make life better. The only way I can make my own life better is by helping you make your life better. That's the work I'm engaged in. Thank you for coming. Have a good night. Boom, we're done. That's how I conclude it. That's some of the language I use. Again, the why Unicity is the first half of the presentation, small break, the what now. They can be two separate presentations, but I find in about an hour and a half you can get through both of those. Don't assume, though, that once you've gone through the what now session, that can replace the getting started session. That would be an error. Once you finish that what now, the opportunity meeting, if you will, in a macro sense is complete. The sign-up process, the getting started session still needs to take place. It's absolutely vital that it's done in a timely fashion within 48 hours, that it's done well, that your return report, that whole process, that 10-step cycle of the getting started session is complete. So there you go. Why Unicity? What now? The sort of things I say, some of the language I use. I hope that's helpful to you. If you've got other language that works for you, hallelujah, that's wonderful. So, let's go. Thank you.